On? Are we on? This is a pre-show. We'll get everything going. This will be me tonight. I'll explain through. See if we can get some people. I finished getting set up here. I have no idea where my phone went. That's the kind of day it's been. All right. Yeah, I see the food. It's back here. Give me a second. I'll be staring at my bum. Oh. It's impossible because I have no bum. Hopefully the sound's coming through okay. You hear me all right? Awesome. Do that. Give it a few minutes. Let's see if one or two people show up. My phone. So I announce it in. Do I announce it in Discord? Did you ever make the bot? I'm going to holler Ranger here in a minute to get Dark to show up, but... Alright. Find this place. Gonna post it in the Discord, which none of us here really like shilling, but it does help. If you're watching this on YouTube... any like, comment, or subscribe would be greatly appreciated. I'd love that. We also have links below for the Patreon and Twitch. Patreon and the YouTube channel. That's $1 a month. I can't read this. Okay. I passed it. There we go. That's it. Going live. All right. Do my part there. Got that in. Give it a couple of nuts. A couple of minutes for some more people show up, maybe. Yeah, so we got the couch. I got that set up, and yeah, we had a couple of technical difficulties, and at the end of the day, that's on me. Trey is getting that taken care of for me, and he will be out. Well, he didn't quite make it. He didn't make it back in time. So next week we'll be picking up with the talking about the dragons. I think it was dragon spells and a few other things. I can't remember exactly. I remember it was spells, items, and something else. Yes, for $1 a month. The Discord. Thank you. Well, there's a few things on there. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I was like, the first time I really hear about it is when we discuss it on that night. So tonight, I'm just going to kind of go over some beginner stuff for DMing, because I DM a lot. I actually enjoy DMing. We make jokes about being a forever DM and everything, but I do DM a lot, and there's just so many ways to do it. So I'm going to try to go over something basic and beginner, and to help people out tonight, and give some basic idea with what you can do, and how to keep up with things. And I do have coffee, so you can actually see my coffee tonight. I think that's it. Patreon.com. I think that's it. What's it about? Might be a link in the description or anything or something. I want this shit. All right. It's kind of quiet and lonely without Trey here. Who else can make it? I don't have a Twitter to put it in Twitter. So it may just be me rambling on for a little bit tonight. What time is it? In 6 minutes after? Not too bad. Yeah. Okay. Reminder. Yes. It's Twitter link below. I know YouTube and Patreon. That's cool. Very cool. 6 minutes. 6 minutes in. I guess we'll go ahead and start this. We'll see how this goes. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. I'm your host, Rungren. I will be, it's be a little bit different tonight. Trey isn't here. He got caught out of town, unfortunately. And I got caught moving the studio around. So just a lot of things came together at one time. But we'll take this opportunity tonight to go over some basic DMing things and try to encourage some people to who maybe are on the edge or want to try. Give them some ideas or example of things that they can use to to do it, I guess would be the simplest way to put it. Because there's a lot of different ways to do it, a lot of different ways to keep up with your world or your session, and man, there's just all kinds of great advice out there, and I'm sure on a lot of this I will not be the first, and it's just stuff that's been handed down, going back through editions. Starting out, if you're wanting to DM and you have a couple of players, let them know that you want to try it out and you want to move. You want to try DMing, and if they'll do you a favor and kind of tone down the character, and I don't mean in their how they act or anything like that, but there's so much information out there, and trying to sit down as a DM and keep up with everything is just impossible. So you can kind of cheat and build out. It's not really cheating. It's you always build from the foundation up. So so that's why at the very beginning of this podcast series that we were doing, we talked about D&D Beyond and the free stuff you could do and play for free. So the first time going through, if you kind of keep it in that level, a lot of stuff is going to be basic and set out for you. Now, there's a couple of ideas, and I don't know how people feel about this, but it's a rule at my table. Of course, I've got players that are pretty good about it, and that I trust. Let them keep the characters basic, not only for you but for them, and so that they can keep up with their characters. So if you do that, I think you'll find the questions come less, and you're not trying to tell them how to run their character, because they have a more basic set of options, and then obviously you can grow from there. One of the things that I love about this game, even though I have spent money on it getting it, is what you can do for free. So one of the problems you may have if you're doing this is not understanding how to run a monster. And like most things in D&D, that can be almost as simple or as complex as you desire. So I'm going to show you what I do at the beginning of each session and kind of go through how I average things out sometimes, especially because if players are into the game, they'll sit through lore and they'll sit through your story and they'll enjoy it, but sometimes they want to punch something. So, and you may not have something prepared, or you may just want to try to run a one shot, and you need to throw something together. I'm going to go with 3 players, X, Y, and Z. Let's see, let's give X an armor class of 16, and their hit points are, what? Let's go 23. Okay. Then for Y, his armor class is going to be 18. And I'll turn this around and show in a minute my horrible handwriting. 18. They've got 27. And then Z over here, his AC is going to be about 14. Not very good. You know, maybe a caster of some kind. And they've got 18 HP. Now, if I've got to if I need to throw as just a quick encounter to throw together for this, I would do averages. So I'd take the AC across and find the basic average of the party, right? And that's going to be about, and I'm going to muffle my head here. It's going to be 16, and then the average of the hit points across the party. So it looks like it's going to fall around. Well, it'll be around that 23 mark. I'm not doing it exact. Okay, so this is going to be terrible looking. Off the 3, can I get this out? It's going to be too bright. Off the 3 characters, I took their AC average out, the HP and average out, and I got these 2 numbers. I don't know how our camera works. I got these 2 numbers. If you put, okay. So if I take those averages and keep that as my AC and my hit points for this group of people that's coming for them, and I do 3 of them, as far as the abilities to hit, as well as the hit points, are going to be about even. So you've got a good baseline there, and you can adjust those numbers if you want one to be a captain, so to speak, in this little 3, or maybe he's the leader of the 3 that are going up against these other 3. You know, you bump up his HP a couple points, maybe add another 5 to 10 hit points on there. As far as the pluses and minuses for what these 3 villains, or these 3 creatures may have in this encounter, I'm going to do the same thing kind of across what the players are striking at. Now, this is not counting for, like a big boss battle or a thing like that. These are encounters along the way. But it usually sets up a pretty even fight. Now, as you get up to 5th and 6th level, or as you're running characters that are 5th and 6th level, especially right there, you can take the average and not go 1-to-1 with the players. You can actually go and add a couple more at that average. Or what you might start doing there is introducing a multi-attack. You know, all this, you can obviously go to the monster manual, use it out, and knock that down, That's awesome if you have the ability to do that. If you don't, this will help you build an encounter, and you can do this in many different aspects, and you can reskin a creature to kind of work under this if you don't have a monster's manual. Okay. The what this doesn't account for in obviously is spells, and spells are magic, so it makes they're going to throw things off. You do have to kind of account for that a little bit, but if you're a first time DM, when somebody casts a spell, and I do this when somebody's playing it, I do this as well. When the first time they cast a spell, maybe the second time, if they don't do it very often, have them bring it up, read it off. Hey, what's this spell do? Are we all on the same page with it? Just to understand, because it puts it, and then you both understand, and it's perfectly okay for that, right? You have this spell, and maybe they picked the wrong spell. Maybe they read it wrong, and it didn't. It doesn't work like they think, or doesn't do what they think. Well, then you've both learned something. If they haven't used the spell, you can say, let's. After this, I'll let you since you never used that spell before, I'll let you pick something else since you never used it. But it gets you both familiar with the spell. Help your players, but let your players also carry the character, so to speak. Now, the way I do initiative, just to make it easy for me, is I draw the table. I get my pen right. I just draw the table, and then I will put initiative around the outside of it. I can't use this camera. Outside of it, depending on who's sitting around, and then all my initiatives go down here in the box. Like so. So the numbers around the box out here, because this is where I'm sitting. I can't do this. I'm sitting right here. These are the three that they're facing. I put 4 around here, but that's the initiative around the table. That helps me to look down, and then I can look up immediately where it is, whose turn it's going to be next. I do know that some people like to actually give their players numbers, like a little placard, or they'll hang one on their DM screen. If you're having trouble with coming up with damage, it's dangerous, but stick to a D10 system. And like I said, I don't want any of this to come out across as like law. Do it this way, because the situation it's just wisdom, something you can fall back on. If you have players underneath 5th level, and you're rolling a D10 for damage for each time they get hit, that's getting pretty dangerous. Maybe not so around 5th level for some, the barbarian or things like that, but it's getting dangerous. It will be dangerous in that area, and then you can jump up to 2. Like I said, taking in your hits to hit, and whatever maybe multiple on damage. Now D10 is a smack. If you want to be lighter at 1 through 3, then you use a smaller dice. You're going to customize this to how you want your campaign to go. Another hard thing is not railroading the players, especially if you have a story in your mind. And if you have this long story planned out, it's a little unfair to twist the player's arms. Now, a lot of players sometimes will follow a story, but if you ask the next week, hey, what happened last week, you're going to get a little bit different view from the players than you will from the DM. So, let me back up a minute. You can shift stuff around to get the players where you need them to go, but I think the better option is when you come to these moments, or you come to certain moments, there has to be at least options, right? And some instances, the weight of the options are both immense. They're about equal. Hey, if you go do this, you lose this. If you go do this, you lose this. And sometimes the options, as a DM, because of the story, you have this major thing going on. As a DM, I don't want to kill my players to not interrupt the story. Right. Fair. But sometimes the dice tell a tale. Of course, we've been really fortunate. Like I said, y'all had a life cleric in the last campaign, though. And a good one at that. Someone actually knew how to play the class. It was... Y'all weren't dying. Not that I try to kill you. But, sometimes the message is like, hey, there's this big event, and there's definitely, that's the path that they should go, but there's other things. Hey, there's this optional along the way, and it can change. One thing that that's a personal DM choice. To do that on that, and once again, honestly, it's going to depend on your table. You can still make it rough and exciting without anybody dying. If you're at a hardcore table, then you wouldn't. You don't DM that way. So, I understand. I do. But you need to be a little bit fluid. And sometimes, because your players will help you build your world and can help you flesh it out through the actions that they take. And you should let them. Because there's not, if you think about leveling up and the power that they have. And this is in the DM's guide a little bit, kind of fleshes it out, but I'm kind of remedial, so I want to I'd have kind of dumbed down. The 1 through 5, you kind of getting popular, folks around you are like, hey, there's something special. When you get to that 5 and 10, your name's getting out. These characters are going to be getting popular. Of course, 11 through 15, you're doing stuff that's, stuffs of heroes and legends, and then of course 15 to 20, you're on the level of lesser gods to go. So the players' characters will help shape the world. Sometimes that means you don't get to run a section that you liked, or a section that you really wanted to, and that can be disappointing. So especially if you're able to do it, pocket it. That's what you got to do. Let it go and pocket it. But and you can, like I said, sometimes the group will steer back. Something really weird will happen, or they'll pull something off. Example from one campaign is there was a little fort where there was a fight, and due to the actions of the players in the Second Age, it's kind of a holy place. And it was those things, it was choices that they made. And lots of choices that they made kind of shaped the world, especially in the second campaign now. But the kind of shaped the world as we went as well. I think we've discussed the voices thing on this podcast enough. Uh, so just to kind of go over that, don't even think about that unless you enjoy doing voices. If you do, awesome. If you don't, just describe the voice. In a raspy voice, he says, she whispers softly. Use your adjectives. You don't have to do a voice. Don't be afraid of cliches. Uh, because especially when they fit. Because sometimes I don't know what sometimes the happy ending to this little one shot or everything might be a little bit cliche as but it was fun and it works out for the players. The because there's this, especially on different. I hear different things. There's this perception of the DMs versus players or players versus DM, and it's that makes it really hard. Because that's not what it is. It's almost PVE, I guess. The players versus the environment. I just happen to play the environment, and as a DM, that's what you're doing. Now that I've said that, the next campaign is going to be a living planet. So I can play a character. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing that. I mean, I might do that, but not so I can play a character in the campaign. Just living planet talking. Hey, Jen. I just appreciate you showing up, dude. Awesome. Um, a couple more things, real quick. Cause I'm gonna wrap this up probably here pretty soon. A couple more things. When you read a story, play a game, those things that move you in that or excite you, or have some kind of emotional connection to you, keep those in mind and think about ways to repaint them, reshell them. There's so many great stories out there, but you can use and lift. I'm trying to think of course, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so there's lots of stuff I lift from that. Names. Sometimes I'll take names from Lord of the Rings, like some obscure one. Other times I will take a character from Lord of the Rings and then rename it. But it's there, and I don't, it's not hurting anybody. It seems to be working out for the players. They seem to like it. If you like the Avengers, or if you like, I don't know, if you like Shakespeare, the action adventure in there, the romance. Yes, thank you for the subject. Remember that and try to figure out a way to repackage it. DMing, trying to DM is never the wrong thing to do. I know there might be some chuckles at that, but as long as you sit down at the table with an understanding between the players and you, and y'all all kind of the same page, and you start small, you'll be okay. And don't use the rules that you know, and learn the rest as you go along. If you have a good table and good people around you, they'll learn as well. They'll become better players and help you become a better DM. There's thousands of different advice videos on this, and thousands of different styles and ways of doing it. And at the end of the day, you're gonna have to find You're going to have to steal from everybody. Take what you need from me, leave the rest. Go get that from somebody else, you know, and make your own. Make it your own. And I don't. There's not a, as far as you know in D&D 5e, which we're mainly about here, but in any tabletop role playing game, you get to do that, and that's why they're still around. Going through that. As we wrap up, it's been a little over 30 minutes. Yeah, that's true. Also that. You have to be patient. Being a DM, yeah, you have to be patient as a DM. You really do. Like I said, best laid plans. And because look, honestly, when you say something, for like 3 sessions, it's been going along okay. People enjoy it, but then you come to a part and you say something, and your players go, "Oh, that's cool," and that's a good feeling that you're succeeding. I won't say it's for everybody, but I say everybody should give it a shot. As far as it goes, that's about all I'm going to cover. Unless there's any questions, which I don't think we'll have any tonight. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube later, a like, a subscribe, a comment would be greatly appreciated. And I'm not going to touch on running, but that's a fine question. I don't think I'm the right person to honestly ask about that. Because that's something I've never been good at. I've never felt comfortable doing. It just doesn't. I can't do it, and I'm sure there's some people out there that are good at it. I tell you what, I will see what I can find on some advice, and see what people say, and who knows, maybe go and start looking at it again and go and listen to some people's advice on that. Maybe change my mind about running book quests. Might give it a try. So that's a good question. Thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up. Appreciate viewers. So until next time, I've been Rungren. Appreciate you being here. Please enjoy everything. Please enjoy the full spectrum that D&D has to offer.